Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Choose to Change 90-Day Reentry Program. If you are a visitor or new to this program, we welcome you and we are glad you are here. Many of us walked in here not knowing what to expect, but many of us stayed because of what we saw real people with real problems who had real hope. This 90-day reentry program is a self-supporting group sponsored by the Choose to Change Foundation. There are no dues or fees to attend a class, but we do encourage donations from our members and to anyone who believes in what we are doing. The only requirement of membership is a sincere desire to change. So if you're ready to change your life, then you are in the right place. Through this program, you will learn the tools and resources to finally change your life forever and a relationship based support system to keep you going. For many of us, there is no easy way out of the mess we created in our lives, even if it wasn't your fault. But the good news is that there is a way out if you would choose to believe in the impossible. My name is Frank Salazar. It is an honor and a pleasure to be here this night, and we're going to do something different. We're going to have a couple of victory reports, and I will share my testimony at the end. And if anyone has any questions, I'll open it up to the floor. But without further ado, our first victory report is from Hugo Lara, and he's going to tell us a little bit about himself and what his victory report is. Come on, Hugo Lara. A round of applause for Hugo.
Thank you for the honor to be able to share my testimony whoever also is listening to YouTube. I want you to just be able to be willing to listen, right? Just hear it out. Um, my childhood was, as far as I could remember, was not too bad at first because my family was together, and then somewhere down the line at the age like 11, my family, my father and my mother, they got divorced. And that started creating resentment in me because I remember going to Pizza Hut, I mean Peter Piper and Far here and then things took the turn of events that my dad just started drinking alcohol, and he he was no longer in the picture. And he would come every once in a while, but he wouldn't even be there that long, and so I didn't really have that in my life. And my mother was usually working, and basically I was the oldest one and was there just watching things that were no good for me. Um, basically, I grew up watching like cholo movies and stuff, and it just didn't bring anything good into my life. And I saw that my brother started hanging around with some people that they started being into gangs and stuff, and I wanted to bond with my brother because at first I wasn't so good of a brother, but I wanted to bond with him, and then I also started hanging around with them. And I can remember that my uncles were drug dealers, and my uncle was a drug addict as well. He was a cocaine drug addict, and like I said, my dad was an alcoholic. My uncle was a cocaine dealer, so everything was at real quick to if I wanted something, I could go ahead and just reach out to them. But as at the same time, I was already joining the gang because I didn't fit in. I was like a misfit, and people would make fun of me. And ever since I was little, I was kind of like the quiet type, and I got bullied a couple of times. I also got put into a trash can when I was little, and so that that created a lot of anger in me, and so I just wanted to lash out, and I started becoming full of anger. And when I turned to the gang, I started doing that to other people, and but I also had other friends in the gang that were also like the same as me, and so we encouraged each other to do a lot of bad. And the thing that I didn't realize is that we were hurting other people that were just the same as us, but because they're in another gang, we thought it was all fun to just go ahead and do that. But it really wasn't, because we were just harming ourselves as well. Um, but as I continued growing up, I noticed that I was doing a lot of things because I thought I had a purpose in that, and it wasn't really what it was cut out to seem like it was, because they were just using us. It was like a trip of power for them, I could say. So at the same time I started seeing that, I went to prison. I know I saw that every man for himself, and I took that with me. Unfortunately, I had to learn that hard way, but I decided to not just go along with what everybody tell me anymore. So I was already at the point where I was gonna question everything. And so, like I mentioned, I was already at that time like 20 years old. I took a lot of my youth and threw it away because of thinking that I was being cool, and that my purpose was being a gang member. But God had other plans. It it really made me into a really messed up person, because when I got out the gang, I got jumped. And I used to say that they would, and they used to say that too. Like sometimes some people like will get jumped so bad it was pretty close to death, and I would say like I'll be willing to die if I get out of the gang. And so that's what ended up happening. And one time I actually got cut in the face, and I thought I was gonna die, but God had a different purpose, and maybe I wasn't go to heaven. So that's why I also started realizing like maybe I need to change my life, because it takes more. Sometimes God has a purpose, and the real purpose of God is for Him for you to look to Him. That's where it gets it gets real, instead of me just thinking like, oh, I'm gonna go to heaven. No, I was going straight to hell. So now I realize God has a different purpose for me. And I also, like I said, I took that with me. I was a tyrant. I used to believe in the Bible, but I didn't live like how the Bible was used to say, because sometimes we could take it as like, oh, well, the Bible says this. And especially if you're reading the Old Testament, that they did a lot of war things in the Bible. And so I kind of just had to start really living the way. I'm thankful that I came to choose to change, and in this church, even though that I came with a different intention to this church, but I'm glad I did. And brother, he challenged me to start coming to choose to change. And I fell, but I continued to believe that God had different purpose, because I had gotten kicked out of my house. And like I said, I was living with my cousins. They were not easy to get along with, but I guess they opened up because I helped them when somebody tried to stab him, and then they ended up stabbing me, cutting me in the face. And so it continued. God continued to move in my life and continue to help me and grow. And never did I think that I would be in this situation now that I'm a different man now. I look back and I'm grateful, because I'm more responsible. I'm challenging myself to like I always wanted to be a real man, and it's to a completely different life that I'm living. And I'm very grateful because Choose to Change has helped me with that. And brother Orlando, he's a good brother, he has a powerful testimony, and he's sacrificing himself for us as well, just like Jesus did on the cross. And everybody here is doing the same, because Jesus Christ is working in our lives. And um, I'm grateful that you guys gave me the opportunity to give you guys my testimony. But yeah, thanks to Choose to Change.
Let's give a round of applause for Hugo Lara. And What he didn't what he didn't say was that he got out of the gang life, but now he's working for the city. God will open doors when you put God first. No. Men like Hugo and the men here, the reason we do this is for them and for their families. And something we're doing this Saturday is we're having the Choose to Change barbecue chicken fundraiser, $10 a plate. It's going to be at the pickup is at McCoy's corner of 107 McCall in Edinburgh, Texas. We need volunteers. So if you don't come out and help out, you know, let us know because we're gonna need all the volunteers that we can get. Now, I'd like to introduce our next speaker. We are gonna change it around because we did get two new people that want to say something. So we're gonna give it up for Eduardo Chavarria. He's gonna share a short testimony, and after him, Michael.
I just want to say my name is Eduardo. First of all, God is good. He's been good with me. Don't know. I mean, like right now, I got two jobs. I wasn't working. I didn't believe in work no more, but got two works and uh then but first I passed to a hard time though. I had a stroke. I had a heart attack. Then I had a stroke. Then I had a heart attack. I was almost uh close to dying though, just was weird though. But now I came out of TC and got two jobs, thank you for Orlando and Isabel for one job and the other one me. But it was hard because I started a job in 7:25 at night and it was hard to be there in the job though. uh and now I got another job and it's been a blessing though, I mean, being real good to me and everything's been helping me. Mm. That's all I gotta say.
Give it up for Eduardo Chavarria. When he first came in, people were scared of him. And look at him now. He has two jobs. People are still scared of him. Now, now we're gonna hear from Michael Montoya, and he's gonna share his victory report because I hear he just got a new job as well. And
Good afternoon, guys. First, all honor and glory to God, because as He's the only reason that I'm standing here. My name is Michael Montoya, born and raised here in McAllen. I'll be 51 next week. Well, about a week and a half. And I'll share a little bit of my testimony with y'all. Uh, Grew up with my grandparents. My parents had me at a very young age, so they each left on their own, left me behind. Sad to say that in my grandma's house, my uncles, my aunts, they were involved in the gang and drugs and violence. So that's all I knew. It was very hard being abused at a very young age. Uh, I learned to hate my family, man. So I started just leaving the house by 8 or 9, just going to the neighborhood and chilling out with the older generations and found love there. Did everything that I had to do just to fit in, did a lot of drugs, did a lot of bad stuff. And became a dad when I was 13. I was a child having kids, man. And I bound to say, you know what, I'm not gonna leave my sons behind like my parents did me. So anyway, at that age, I didn't have no job skills or nothing. So I started selling drugs and kept on gang banging. Ended up going to prison at a very young age. Got involved there in the prison gangs. Moved up in ranks for my stupidityness. And in reality, it was a lot of hurt and pain that I had inside of me that I just wanted to hurt other people. And So I did 5 years flat, got out. I was in sick the whole time. Got out and stayed out 13 days and went right back in. I came out with that prison mentality. I really didn't care. And, you know, I was so caught up in that life that I loved it, man. I loved it so much. And got out. And after I did that time, got out like 2 years later, stayed out about 4 years, started doing the same things again, selling drugs, getting more involved in the gang, and now in the prison gangs, and just like I said, just doing bad things. And eventually, I wound up killing a man in a drug deal gone bad. And in front of my kids, man, I'm sad to say that. And well, went to county. I was looking at a life sentence. I wound up signing up for 30 years, and for reasons I just say God always has had a plan in my life. It was just me being rebellious, running away from Him. And when I was there in county, I got into it with my homeboys, and winded up when I got to prison. I wound up stepping out of the gang. I had to go through programs to get out of SIG to be able to get back to population. And I never in my wildest dreams thought that I was gonna ever get out of that lifestyle because of the way I thought, and that was the best thing that I ever did in my life. So when I got to population, I finally started doing what I had to do to climb out of that hole that I was in. Starting going to get trades, joining positive classes in here like this one here, of course. And eventually I ended up making parole. Of course, I went through a lot of stuff in there due to that I was an ex-gang member. And you know what? All honor and glory to God. He always had his hand over me. I could sit here and glorify myself and say it was me. It was never me. At times I thought it was me, but it was never me. It was God's plan, that He has a plan for my life. So, and we ended up making parole. I was so happy, man. I was so happy to be coming out and start working. Well, guess what? That didn't happen like that. They put a GPS on me, so they had me home arrest, and I started doing a lot of classes, and I started getting anxiety attacks. I started I just couldn't cope with a feeling that I was free, but I wasn't free because I couldn't go nowhere. So I do a lot of classes online, AA classes, anger management, peer support, substance abuse. And when I first went to parole, I went to parole, and then the next day they told me, you got to come back because we got a orientation. Orientation, people from different organizations go there to try to get you back in society. And Orlando went, and I remember when he was talking up there, and I was hearing him, right, and I was in my mind, I was like, hell no, another class. And I was like, nah, I'm not gonna sign up. And two guys signed up, nobody else signed up, right? But I remember my friends, man, in prison, the ones that were my true friends, they would always tell me, when you get out, man, there's gonna be a lot of temptations. You got to stay in the fight. You got to stay surrounded by positive people. And that small voice told me one day, hey, man, why don't you call this man? I had kept the card. I got it right here because he passes out cards. And I ended up calling Orlando. And I said, hey, you know what? Can I go to Choose to Change? And he was like, yeah, all right. I said, well, you know what? I'm going to have to talk to my parole officer because he's not just going to let me go because since I'm on a GPS, I have a schedule that I go by. I can't just go nowhere. They have to give me permission to go. Every month I go, they give me a weekly schedule that I have to follow. If I break it, they'll automatically violate me. So by God's grace, Orlando was able to talk to the parole officer, and I did too. And I started coming to class. At first, I was like, okay, and then I started liking it. I mean, I was willing to change, and like I shared with you guys, I had never been around positive people. I don't have no positive friends. I can't tell you and say, well, you know what? I have other people that I've known my whole life, being gang members, my friends from the neighborhood. That's it. So when I started coming around here, and I started, like they say, my mind, change the way I think, change what I do. And I started coming. I started liking it more and more and more. I look forward more, and of course, too, because I get to get out of the house. I was trying to look for a job, but everybody was shooting me down. I couldn't do them regardless because I had to go like 3 times a month, 3 times a week for the first 6 months to parole for the classes that I had to do there. So I finally finished, and I was mandatory. I got to go to workforce, and I would go. They'd give me work orders that I could go look for work, but of course I couldn't go look for them because they weren't giving me permission. And the people that would call me, they would automatically tell me, shoot me down. Hey, you know what? Well, you're gonna be in a probation period for the first 60 days. You can't miss no work, and it was inevitable because I had to miss work. I had to go back to parole. Sometimes I got to go once a week. Sometimes I got to go twice a week. So I mean, it was just like I was just there, like man, praying to God, help me find a job, help me do this, help me do that. And I was just there one day, and I don't know what I've never had a license. And I don't know what you want. I said, you know what? I'm going to need a license if I go. So I talked to Orlando about it. And Orlando and Choose to Change, they helped me. They paid for my driving school and everything. I mean, it was great. Of course, my girlfriend and her daughter helped me too a lot. Of course, because I'm not hip to all this new technology. That was a pain in the butt for me, man, big time. And so they helped me with that, and things kept progressing. And man, glad to tell you all. Thanks to Orlando, I ended up getting a job at a glass company. Mr. Pat gave me an opportunity. Risica and Sons Glass Company in San Juan, Texas. We do residential, commercial vehicles. So if you guys need some glass work done, we can do it. So anyway, yeah. So I mean, God's been very good to me. I'm sad to tell you guys that as a parent, man, our kids look up to us. So my junior, he's in jail right now, and my baby boy, he got a capital murder case as well. And man, that tore me up when I found out he's following my same footsteps. So I mean, now I'm just trying to break the chains, at least try to reach my grandchildren and encourage my boys, man. You know what? If I can change, if they can see the change in me, they're gonna say, well, you know what, my dad changed. If he can do it, I can do it. So I just want to thank you all here, man, from Choose to Change. Thank you, Orlando, Mr. Pat Ristica, and all you all here, man. Thank you for being a positive environment. You guys are great group of guys. Love you all, and God bless you all. Have a great evening. Good evening.
All right, great job, Michael. Let me give Michael his notebook. Chihuahuas. Here. Again, that was great for Michael, and I'm going to share something that Michael told me a few weeks ago. Hopefully, he doesn't mind, but he shared me this photo. He went fishing, and he's like, "This is the first time I've gone fishing." And that felt so great because I've had that experience where it's these small things that we think, oh, fishing, whatever, everyone does that. He never did that. And there's like little things that I hadn't done that, oh, when I did it, it felt great. And that's what this we do here. We encourage you. You learn from Orlando, from everyone here, and that you start realizing, hey, I can do this, even if it's small things, small victories. You can do it. Now we're gonna hear from Juan Peña. He's gonna share his testimony. But give it up for Juan Peña. All right.
Hi guys, how y'all doing this evening? Good. All right. My name is Juan Peña, and I've known Orlando for 20 years now. I think maybe close to 20 years now. And so yeah, relating a lot to Michael, man. A lot of things that we've all had to go through in life, and I just thank God that I'm able to stand here today and be able to thank God that He brought these kind of programs through Orlando and how they were birthed and came about. And just to share kind of a little bit, I'm kind of, man, a lot of us are all kind of the same. I grew up kind of the same way as he did, but my parents weren't there. My mom was there, but she was the same thing as I was, the alcoholic, drug addict, you know. So we kind of went through that path, ended up getting locked up real young. Started getting in trouble at 13. Next thing you know, I'm out of jail at 28, 30 years old, really. I got out of TDC. I from the ages real young. I got out when I was young, between the ages of after TYC. I got out at the age of 17. They arrested me again, and it was a mess. But y'all get the picture. All of us have gone through some real challenges in life, and having to adapt. You know, I can relate to Michael. I remember getting out. I wasn't even there that long. I was there, what, 8 years. And when I got out, I left in 94, get out in 2002. Let's just close that gap there. They didn't have none of that stuff. I got out, they put me in the bus station there in McAllen, and I got off to wash my hand with my commissary bag, and I went in there to the washroom, and I didn't see no faucets. There was nowhere to turn on the water. And I was like, hey, what the heck's going on here, man? So I was like looking under the sink, and then a guy walked in, so I kind of turned around and messed with my bag a little bit. And then I just kind of looked at the guy for a little bit, and he put his hands under the water, and the thing turned on. Oh, man, he walked out, man. I started going crazy through all the water section. I also remember being in the car with my wife now. We've been married 20, we're going on 23 years being together. Well, I got out. Since I got out, so I thank God for my family. That's a whole other testimony, man. Thank God for that. Um, but anyway, she had the cell phone and she's talking on it, and I was like, we're driving in the car, and I was like, hey, wait a minute, you talking to somebody on that phone? She's like, yeah, I'm talking to. You can talk to people on that phone. She's like, yeah. I go, well, let me call my mom, my grandma. I call my mom, and so it was weird, man. But yeah, man. I just wanted to share a little bit, man, that it hasn't been easy. We come out. When I got out, you can just imagine, like Michael was saying, you grow up in the barrio, you grow up around the guys, you start building this mentality, and you start pushing people away that are not like you or not like us, and then we start hanging out with the guys that are like us, the guys that este vato, no, he's not gonna put me down, and if they do, this guy's gonna jump in for me, and so we start building this thing, with our lives and stuff that cause all this division, and so I remember getting out. I didn't know how my life was gonna change, man. I was a mess, man. I didn't do what Michael did and what Orlando did, which, some people might, I don't know if they can see us in jail or now, or what the deal is, but you have to start, man, when you're locked up. It gives you an advantage, to be able to start making changes and stuff. But I thank God that He brought me to a church, and through the saving power of Jesus Christ, and what He did for me and my family, you know, uh, and Orlando being part of that family as well. It just made so much sense to me. I had a hard time going to like AA and things of that sort, stuff like that, because, I don't know, I just didn't quite get it. Uh, but I always had this reverence for God. I knew that He was real, man, because there was some times in my life, man, that I can go back, and even now I remember sometimes that, man, I don't know, it had to be God, just like Michael was saying, man. That we know that we were in places in our lives where only God made a way. For what? Just like Michael said, He's got a purpose for each and every one of us that are here today. And I'm just grateful, man, for the strength and just the continuousness of Orlando to continue to work with men and us and even me at times. I spend try to spend time with him and talk to him, but as we, like Michael was saying, you're coming out and making these changes, man. Let me tell you something, man. I think I've been out. I can say for sure 20 years. I'm 50. I'm gonna be 52, and my wife has stayed with me. She was a great help to me, man. I just thank God for her. I got 5 children. They went to college. They're working in great places. I got the 2 little ones that are just they all serve in the church. They all, and did I deserve that? Of course not. But God had a plan. He has a plan for each and every one. How it's gonna work out, I don't know. But we're here, and you're not only here just to take a class. That's what's so awesome about this place is that God begins to just drop seeds in us little by little, you know, watering us daily to help us, man. And when we get around each other, we understand our struggles. We understand, what we go through. A lot of us, I just was able, I had a blessing to go meet up with a friend of mine that unfortunately he was here with us and he's struggling right now. But as I'm standing there and talking to him, man, and encouraging him, and I feel for him. Why? Because I've been there. I know what it is. But what do we got to do? We got to keep fighting for each other. We got to keep praying for each other. Pray for Orlando. Pray for his wife, for his family, for choose to change. Because believe it or not, man, I stand here just by the grace of God, man. And this was birth. God put this in Orlando, to be able to reach people like us, that think different, but we also know who God is. Especially like Michael. I mean, he just made it so clear. And I'm sure a lot of us that have been in the streets, man, didn't have nobody to watch our back, didn't have no dad, didn't have nobody to step in for you. And all of a sudden, these things happen for us and we remember those times. And that's why we just, when we come to a place like this, we're able to relate and we know that God is at work. It's not only Orlando and the passion that Orlando has for us, for broken men that need help, but he's been there, and we know you're gonna make it, Michael. You're gonna make it, man. Your kids are gonna make it, man. You're gonna be all right. You draw near to God, God will draw near to you and he will make things happen for you, bro. Don't even worry about it. You keep doing what you're doing, man. Do all that stuff they ask you to do. Don't even worry about it. Later on, you'll be testifying about that. And you're gonna get married. You're gonna have a good life, man. God's gonna take care of us. But yeah, man, I just wanted to kind of close that up and kind of close it all up. That I've been here for a while and just thanking God. Choose to change. So grateful. Keep coming out, guys. And yeah, thank you, guys. Yeah.
That was Juan Peña. That was awesome. An awesome message. I do see we have a couple of our regulars here. If they want to come up and share a short testimony, Craig, would you like to come up and say something?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Brian Gum. I prefer my middle name, which is Craig. I tell all my friends, my Mexican American brothers and sisters, I say Craig, just like the movie Friday, Black in the Valley. Not many people forget me. But my story's somewhat different, guys. But we have to learn to look at the similarities, not the differences. I come from a background where my parents are still married after over 50 years. I grew up in Tennessee. I'm from a suburb of Nashville. It's called Hendersonville. Can name drop, Taylor Swift, Kelly Clarkson, all of them have homes there. My family wasn't wealthy, but I grew up around a lot of wealth, a lot of country music stars, kids. So that created a whole nother element within itself. Because see, when you have privilege, you have a lot of drugs, you have a lot of pre-sexualization where you're involved with things that you shouldn't at an early age because your mind's reprobate and you've got more money and you know what to do with. And although my family didn't have it, I had access to it. So I got caught up in a lot of stuff I wasn't supposed to. Now, what that looks like is early arrests, alcoholism, and drug abuse at an early age because I had my family was middle class. My dad worked for the phone company, with some of us old enough to remember as South Central Bell, Bell South, AT&T, Ma Bell. They've all transitioned to the mega monopolies, but it's all the same. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, so both my parents were there active in my life. I was a band jock, drummer as far as formal training, and yeah, that was my thing, running those streets, staying out late, hanging out, getting involved with young women at an early age. And like I said, I was usually the only black kid amongst all the white kids. And I don't say that to be racist. That's just my reality, guys. I grew up around a lot of white kids growing up. So a lot of that affected me too growing up. You're being black in an environment where you love your culture, you know your people, but to some extent you have to assimilate to be healthy and to fit in. So that warps your mind as a child also, because you're having to deal with this whole different dynamic. But what you learn is you learn how to navigate people groups and cultures. That's why I've been here in the Valley. And by the way, my wife, Marisol, is Mexican American, so I've had no problem down here. There's a little joke when I flew back home in July. I was telling my mom and dad because I got off the plane and it was a lot of Caucasian, a lot of white people. And so they're like, boy, quit playing. You grew up around this area. I was like, nah, but I've been around brown people for 14 years. It's like, I'm Blaxican now, man. It's like, I'm a fish out of water. You're not in Kansas anymore, Toto. But, you know, it was interesting because it gave me an opportunity to embrace parts of my life that I'd forgot about because I've been here for 14 years. And like I said, I love white people. They've been good to me. I've been mothered and fathered well and been to a lot of wonderful churches. So, but on the other end of that, like I said, I've never been to prison. I don't say that to be braggadocious. It's just I pray that people see me as my testimony as what can happen. Uh, Unlike so many people, I'm very active in AA. At one time, I had about 16 years sobriety. I got arrogant, quit getting on my knees, and thought that I had all the answers and I didn't need the Lord anymore, and I relapsed. I made a conscious choice to go back out there. I'm coming up on, I'm at about 11 months right now. So for me, I'm one of those people, I love the church, but just as other people I know, God-fearing, Jesus Christ, Bible-believing Christians, they couldn't get sober in the church. You know, my experience was I brought a lot of my dirt, a lot of my shame and my brokenness, and the church couldn't handle it. It's not saying that's what the case with this church. I'm just saying that's what led me to AA. That's my testimony. So I do claim 12-step programs, and I'm very active in them. But I'm one of these guys. I've been blessed to have done a lot. I've got my bachelor's degree. I'm a music producer and musician. That's what my God-given talent is, producing music. So got an opportunity to grow to one of the best private universities in the nation. It's called Belmont University. Those of you who like country music, Brad Paisley, Trisha Yearwood, a lot of contemporary Christian artists, a couple American Idols went there, and I'm getting ready to start in June to go and pursue my second bachelor's degree. I've flown airplanes, rode on bullet trains to go over 200 miles an hour. I've been all the Middle East and Europe because I was in the military, and I say that to say, if I can do it, God will do it for everybody else. Not a, hey, look at me, guys, because I'm better, but if I can, you know, one of my favorite pastors that's been great in my life, he always says, if you don't believe in destiny, you'll never have one. And I think that's one thing a lot of us who come from the brokenness of drug and alcohol abuse and all these things, that we sometimes miss out on that destiny because we don't claim it for ourselves. But like I said, God has blessed me and given me a lot of opportunities to do a lot of things that I wanted to do. And that's only because I've dreamed it. I had parents who've spoken in my life and told me I could be and accomplish anything I wanted, and I've ran with that. So that's one thing that is very important. Be careful what you speak over yourself, and be careful what you speak over your children, because at the end of the day, all we have is our godly legacy, and our name matters, and it's a reflection of who we are, more importantly, as Christians. So that's kind of a short where I'm at, guys. Like I said, I'm currently facing some charges. I'm facing a felony and a misdemeanor because I thought it would be a good idea to put my hands on my wife and my stepdaughter because they stole $14,000 from me. So in my sickness, I've had to learn that it was never about the money. It was all about the brokenness within me. And that's a hard thing to say because I'm from that generation of, only punks put their hands on me. And, if I want to put my hands on somebody, let me grab Miguel. Let me grab Frank. Let me grab Eddie. Don't go putting your hands on women. So that's a part of my testimony. So everybody knows I'm not glory boy up here thinking about the accomplishments. Yeah, I got the issues too. I got the isms like everybody else. I'm just as broken, but that's not the story. The story is not over yet. The Lord's not finished with me or any of us. That's why I'm coming here, because if there's anything that's going to make me a better man, a stronger man, and bring me closer to the Lord Jesus Christ, that's what I want to do. So that's where I'm at, guys, right now, just doing it, trusting the Lord. You and I might be the same there, Michael, pretty soon. You see brother right here, and that's the main thing I've said to him, like, man, y'all put this bracelet on, it's going to be working a brother over. But the Lord will give us strength to do what we need to do, right? Hey, like I said, if you can do it, I can do it, brother. He'll give me the strength. So hopefully that gives you guys a little bit insight where I'm at. Didn't get to cover too much, but let everybody know that, hey, we're all the same, man. Everybody's got different paths, different stories, but it's all the same. But the enemy can't take what God's got for us. He can't take what God's got for us. because the kingdom is ours. And contrary to a lot of people think, the Bible says sometimes we must take it by violence. So that means we put that spiritual armor on, we go to war. We don't concede. We don't bow down to anybody because we know who we are and whose we are. So thank you, gentlemen.
That was great. I haven't heard Craig's testimony, so that was awesome to hear that. Uh, Before we continue, I do want to say Orlando wanted to share his deepest apologies. His flight was delayed. He is currently in the air from Dallas, so he's not going to be here tonight. But we're going to take this opportunity to just remind everyone we are having the Choose to Change barbecue this Saturday. Uh, yeah, I'm not sure what time do people go there. 10:30 to 1. I know some of us are going to be there a little early to help set up and volunteer. So we also need volunteers. So if you want to go volunteer, call Orlando. And for $10 a plate, you can impact a family. 10 bucks. You can get a nice plate of chicken with all the sides and help people like Hugo, Chavarria, Michael, his girlfriend, Craig. These are the people that you are impacting plus more when you donate or give to something like this, to the Choose to Change barbecue fundraiser. All right. Now I will share my testimony. So, on May 2015, that's when my wife, my ex-wife, she says, "It's over. We're done. We're through." And in my mind, I'm like, "What do you mean it's over?" Well, she's taking the kids, but I kept the PlayStation. Your life can change in an instant. I went from living in Corpus Christi with my family to living back at home in Far with my mom and my brothers, fighting with my brothers because we just didn't get along. And when my ex-wife said, "Hey, we're done, we're through," I was broken. I I I wanted to give up. Uh, So just spend time at home playing games or just doing whatever I could do to forget. And I decided, I want to change uh, me myself, but I was doing it my way, and I was doing it the world's way. So I'm gonna do what I have to do. So one of the things I did is I called up my cousin. They didn't want me to just be at home depressed. So they came, picked me up. We're in Harlingen, and they're having a party. So it's all family eating chicken, just like you're gonna be eating chicken on Saturday for $10 a plate. We're eating chicken, and they have a big cooler of beer. I don't drink. I don't really like drinking, but at that time I was like, you know what? I need a beer. I'm gonna give this a shot. Maybe this will help me. And I reach down, I get my beer. I'm looking at it, and then my cousin's husband is like, "What, Jesse? You drink?" Like, no. I'm like, but I'm gonna start drinking. My cousin takes away the beer. No, you're not gonna drink. Like, what? I'm like, I'm hurting. I have this pain. I want to dull the pain. It's like, well, that's not a reason to drink. And then they start drinking. I'm like, so my family wouldn't let me drink. And first I was mad, but now I look at it like it's a blessing. They didn't want me to fall. So after that, I get home and I start making calls, and I try to get myself put into a mental institution. I went to Tropical, and they couldn't help me. There was no room. They put me on a waiting list. They didn't have room for me. So not even the mental institution wanted me at the time. I'm like, why? My family doesn't want me to drink. The government doesn't want me to get help through their services. They want me to wait. I go home and I'm just crying out to God. Like, I'm done. But I'm crying out to God like, I need help, God. And and I remember a Thursday. But in my mind, it flipped. I thought it was Wednesday, and I could hear God. You need to go home. Oh, I am home. I'm in my childhood home, God. No, no, not at home. Remember, you used to go to the Door Christian Fellowship. So like, okay, I Google it and I find the address. And on there, I remember clearly saying open. So, okay, oh, that's right. There's church. Remember, I'm thinking it's Wednesday. So I'm going to church. So the whole day, I'm making arrangements. I'm finding a ride, finding my brother said, hey, don't worry, I'll take you. He drops me off. And this is when we were on Business 83. He drops me off. It's like, hey, call me and I'll pick you up in a few hours. Okay, cool. I get down, I go to the door, and I see closed. You know, they had the times and for that day closed, nothing there. Like, okay, God, I'm trying to change my life. You told me to come here. Like, hey, hold on, just wait, son. A truck pulls up, and it's Joe Albert. He's someone that used to come here. He used to actually help run this class. He says, hey, are you trying to go to church? Yeah, but it's closed. Hey, don't worry, we got something. It's this program called the Choose to Change Foundation. It's for ex-cons. Like, I'm not an ex-con yet. At that moment, I was like, I will do anything. Just like, all right, let's try this. And that's where I met Orlando. And he starts doing his class. He started talking about, you're a loser. Yeah, I know. That's why I'm here. You could be a winner. Like, okay, cool. Sounds awesome. And he says, oh, he points me out because he hadn't seen me. This is the first time he was seeing me. So he does this illustration. And he's like, hey, Frank, what if I lay down this plank here on the floor? Here, like it's on the floor, it's touching the floor. Would you walk it for $10? Sure, for $10, I'd walk it. Like, okay, what if I take that plank and I put it on the highest buildings, and it's longer now. It's on the edge of two high buildings. Would you walk it? And I start thinking about it, and I say yes. And that's when he says, Frank, you're crazy. Because apparently you're not supposed to say yes, because no one in the right mind would say yes. I wasn't in my right mind. And then he explains, okay, what if on one side it's on fire, but now your loved one is there? So I'm thinking my kids. And like, okay, yes, then I would walk it. And that's when he started talking about your purpose, your why. You want to change, but why do you want to change? What is your purpose? So I started to change. I started to do everything that I could, and it's been a long road. I'm still on that road to change, to getting to that next level, because it's the levels, guys. You don't just reach a place and that's where you stay. You gotta keep going. So the reason I'm able to be up here, the reason I'm able to share this story, because Orlando challenged me. And one day, I think it was last year in October, I'm still figuring things out. I asked Orlando, uh, how do you become a leader without a title? Because that seems to be, the thing. Hey, well, I'm a leader. I do this, I do that, and people listen to you. Like, well, I don't do that. But what can I do, to at least have that attitude of a leader? So he tells me about a speech club, the Toastmasters International. So I start going there. Like, okay, Orlando wants me to go here. I'll go here. He's told me he's done it before. Okay, I'm gonna give it a shot. And they helped me so much that with what they taught me, with what I've learned in church, with what I've learned in Choose to Change, I used all that to go to that next level. So sometimes it's not just going to one thing. You find other things that help you out. A year later, I am the club president for that club. I couldn't have done that a year ago because I was very shy and very timid. And that's something I sometimes work at, because sometimes it gets back in there. Like Orlando says, your mind is twisted. You got to untwist that mind, because it'll twist back. Now, if I can do that, If Michael can change his life, if Craig can change his life, if Juan Peña, Chavarilla, Hugo, if we can change our lives, what's stopping you? If you want to change your life, you can, but what is your purpose? I think that's it for tonight. But before we close, we will be passing the donation bucket. And if you want to give from your heart, give whatever you can, because every dollar counts. Because it goes to help everyone here, help the Choose to Change Foundation so we can help others. And don't forget, this Saturday, the barbecue chicken sale, $10 a plate. And you can also become a monthly donor on the Choose Change website. Give whatever you can. Every dollar helps. But and so, see here, we have the Cash App. You can just take that and just donate there. And I think next week Orlando will be here, right? And we'll hear from Orlando. Thanks everyone for coming. Have a safe trip.